Hi, thank you for joining me for today's process video, and today is another day in 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life Series 19. It's day 21, and today's sketch that you can see in the top left hand corner there has been provided by Jacqualine Hart. I'll add any details that I have for Jacqualine in the description box below. So I'm cutting into my brand new collection Legendary by Pinkfresh Studio. It was designed by Paige Evans. I just love this. I've always loved Pinkfresh Studio. I was sad when they stopped creating scrapbooking products, so I'm really pleased that they've resumed. So I'm doing something a little bit different for me today. I'm adding a paper pieced background. I just thought that the sketch lent to that, so that's what I'm doing, and I'm actually sticking pretty close to the sketch to begin with. So you can see I've got those strips in the background per Jackie's sketch, and now I'm just finding two mats to put behind my photo. Now I'm not offsetting them. I struggle with that, so they are offset but not on a wonk or on an angle like Jackie's. So you'll see how I'm doing this here. So the papers that I'm adding to the background are from the 6x8 paper pad, and the photo that I'm documenting is of us all with our drinks on the first night of our recent DT weekend away. So it was just myself, Jackie, Julie, Wendy, and Sheena, who were there on the first night. Julie doesn't drink, so you can see her little Stanley cup there. Well, little, her Stanley cup there, and the rest of us have got Prosecco just to have a toast together. So I've used a 12x12 white paper as my background, and then I'm just going to stick all these strips down. I cut the grid piece, that cream grid piece, slightly larger just to ensure that there weren't any white bits showing. Now I think my white cardstock is slightly bigger than 12x12, or I've trimmed the I've been a bit zealous trimming off the branding strip from the papers because they don't quite stretch the full 12 inches, but I'll just trim off the top of the layout when I finished. It doesn't bother me if it's not quite 12x12. Once it's in the album, you won't notice. So that green is the reverse of one of those papers. I think it was the blue paper. Yes, the blue paper that I've put down. Wendy's sweater that you can see in the top left hand corner of the sketch there was a beautiful dark green, so I just chose that to mimic her sweater. And then we've got the blue of the Stanley Cup and also the cloth on the table, which I'd taken to protect the Barnes table while we were there. So that's how my photo is going to sit. I just noticed it was slightly wonky, so just pulling it back up again. I do like that Pinkfresh Studios papers are pretty graphic, and they have lots of lines that you can follow to make sure that you're straight. So that's what I've done here. And then I'm using one of these fabric strips as the piece that Jackie has along the bottom of her photo. She's got a film strip showing there. I didn't want to use a film strip on this one, so I'm just using one of these fabric strips. Now it says that they're adhesive, but I couldn't find the backing on these, so I've just glued it down with my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. This is me trying to peel the backing off. Somebody had mentioned that to me already, that they don't seem to be self-adhesive, so I think something's changed in the manufacturing process. So there's that border across the bottom, and then you can see to the right of the screen I've got that little yellow strip of paper, which is from the 6x8 paper pad when I was creating that first mat, and I didn't want to waste that, so I'm just going to add that to these strips across the bottom there. So it's almost like a shelf that the photos are sitting on, or the photo is sitting on. So now I've pulled out the chipboard pieces, and I'm just trying to decide on the title. I was trying to put something in the top right hand corner per the sketch, but I couldn't get it to work, and then I spotted this one that says The Rhythm of a Good Day, and I thought that was a really nice title to add down the side of my photo, but there was a funny little gap at the bottom, so I'm just adding this circular piece from the 6x12 stickers, and then I noticed that arrow that says Too Good, and I thought, oh, that would be perfect to add to the top of the page. I do move that around a little bit in due course, you'll see. And then one of the chipboard stars from that chipboard sticker sheet. So now I'm going into the journaling pieces. I just wanted to find something to add my journaling to, and it goes every which way. When I try and put phrases on the side, like I have with the title, I really struggle to add another one if it's not going in the same direction. So in the end, I just turn it around and have it straight on. So that's going to hold my journaling, but I'm just looking through the ephemera pieces now to see what else I can find. Straight away, I find a drinking cup, a bit like Julie's Stanley Cup, so I'm going to put that in the bottom there because that works really nicely. And then as I start to look through in a minute, I find some ephemera pieces that relate to art and creating, and because it was design team weekend, I thought those are perfect. So there's this little paint palette It's going to go at the bottom there, and then also this little cup full of pencils and rulers and things, so that'll go to the right there. So just gluing those down because I know that they're going to stay where I've put them. And then I'm going to add my journaling. So it literally just says drinks on the first night of our DT weekend, and then I've listed who was there. And then a little ribbon loop underneath that cup. I just wanted to bring in a little bit more texture. I've got the fabric from that scalloped edge, but I wanted something else there. And then a tab, of course, for my date. And then I spotted this ampersand in the same drawer as that tab was in, so I thought that would work nicely in that little cluster on the left-hand side there. And that's just cut from one of the Hey Little Magpie die sets that we've got. We've got a set of ampersands that works nicely on a lot of pages. Now here's where I move that Too Good arrow. I'm going to stick it over my tab, and then I will add some bits behind that in due course, so it does get pulled up quite a few times. So here's my roller date stamp just to add the date there, and it will be too long to fit on that tab because I've got the arrow going there, but it still looks really nice just overhanging the end. So just having to pull the arrow up again just to tuck that underneath. There we go. And then I found some wood pieces in my drawers on my desk. I was thinking about using a basing, but then I thought adventure would work really nicely because it was a lovely adventure with the girls that weekend. So this is one of our new wood pieces from Hey Little Magpie in the titles. So that's just going to go there. And then underneath I'm popping one of the word strips that says So Grateful. Again, another Hey Little Magpie exclusive wood piece. I think that's the autumn word strips that one comes from. And then these are the little drawers that I have on my desk, and I found this little blue gingham heart that I thought would work nicely. We used to sell these as bits and pieces at Hey Little Magpie. I think they've sold out now. And then finally in my drawers I had these die cut tickets from one of our dies that we sell at Hey Little Magpie. So I've just added one there to the top left hand corner, and then I'm bringing in some of the 49 and Market ticket ephemera pieces. So that big dark one says the story, and then I've got a little stamp that I'm going to tuck behind that Too Good arrow. Just checking that they're straight. I think the stamp's a little bit off kilter, but that's fine. So is the Stanley Cup, so it sort of balances it out. And then just the heart to stick down, and that's it. So do check the description box for everybody else who's joining in on 30 Days of Sketches. And other than that, I shall see you again very soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye.